In other news, the United States says that over 80 Islamic State militants, some of whom were believed to be plotting attacks in Europe, have died in U.S. airstrikes on camps outside the group's former North African stronghold of Sirte in Libya. U.S. Defense Secretary Ash Carter told a Pentagon briefing that the strikes were directed against some of the external plotters of the Syria and Iraq-based militant group. The U.S. attack on Wednesday night was led by two B-2 bombers which took off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri to carry out a 30-hour round-trip bombing run. They dropped about 100 precision-guided munitions on the camps.
Our Africa Command conducted airstrikes against two ISIL camps south of Sirte. Initial estimates indicate that the airstrikes killed more than 80 ISIL fighters, many of whom had converged there after fleeing from local partner forces who had cleared Sirte last month with our help. Importantly, these strikes were directed against some of ISIL's external plotters who were actively planning operations against our allies in Europe. I leave this job. I'm certain that the United States and our coalition and local partners will continue to build on the results we've achieved and ultimately destroy the fact and the idea of a state based on ISIL's barbaric ideology. We need to strike ISIL everywhere they show up. And that's particularly true in view of the fact that we know that some of the ISIL operatives in Libya were involved in plotting attacks in Europe.
As the world counts down to Donald Trump's swearing in as the new president of the United States, Togolese artist Gustave Akpehu-Jonda is pondering what the Trump presidency will be like, not just for Americans, but for the world. The painter, sculptor, and photographer has exhibited his work to a group of students in the gardens of the French Institute in Lomé. Take a look.
Titled Like a Fish in Water, Jonda collection is made of 13 huge wooden sculptures. All the works stand at over 1.50 meters and are used to discuss different themes, including sustainable development, maritime environment, and immigration. But one piece in the collection grabs the visitor's attention. It is a wooden fish with the American flag painted on it and has question marks in place of some of the stars that represents the country's 50 states. The U.S. presidential elections pit Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton against Republican Donald Trump and made headlines mainly for its divisive rhetoric and oftentimes the disparaging remarks Trump made against women and other minority groups. Jonda says that as an artist, he feels compelled to talk about the election and the far-reaching effects it has had on the rest of the world.
I asked myself, what is this new way of campaigning and the negativity that went along with it? And then, all of a sudden, there was a winner. I have also been asking myself, who is this person? What will he change? What will he really accomplish? So these are the same questions that I have been asking myself, which we shouldn't be asking. But when you have a major country like the U.S., you have to ask a lot of questions.
Jonda also adds that he wants to question why many Africans are more interested in U.S. politics than in the issues that face them at home.
Ghanaians have held 4 days of celebration and mourning to pay tribute to the late Ashanti Queen Mother, who died at the age of 111 last year. She was not only mother to the king, but a symbol of the country's unity. The Ashanti Kingdom is one of Africa's oldest existing monarchies and still carries great influence in the country.
Dressed in black traditional robes and a variety of regalia, thousands gather in Ghana's second city, Kumasi, and celebrate the life of the Ashanti Kingdom's longest-serving Queen Mother, Nana Afia Kobi Sewa Ampem II, who died at the age of 111 in November last year, was the mother of the Asantehene, king of the Ashanti, an ancient empire that has reigned in Ghana for over 300 years. Former President John Dramani Mahama was among many senior government figures that attended the funeral.
She possesses the kingdom has actually lost a gem. We hope the Almighty God will give her a peaceful resting place. But our hope is that by divine grace, we shall find a suitable substitute who have the attributes of the passing lady. That's our wish.
Also known as the Ashanti Hammer, the Queen Mother is considered paramount to the success of the kingdom. Her role is to provide counsel to the king and to rule over the women of the community, mobilizing them and speaking for them when needed, as well as acting as a symbol of unity for all Ashanti people. Ashantis are among Africa's most advanced civilizations. The community had a defined governance system and a respected constitution before British colonization in 1874. While the culture of many African communities slowly fades due to modern influences, one of the key roles of the Ashanti leadership is to preserve the cultural heritage of the kingdom.
The historical influence of the kingdom puts it in the right perspective that, yes, they occupied about half the size of the present Ghana, so that cannot be taken away. And then it's also a kingdom that has preserved the culture of Ghana as well as Africa, because there are very few African countries that have been able to preserve their culture.
Ghana was hailed as a shining example of democracy after elections last year, in which President Nana Akufo-Addo defeated John Mahama in the rare peaceful transfer of power in a region plagued by political crisis. The Ashanti King's influence exists alongside the country's modern democracy.